the show, everyone. The debate around cryptocurrency rages on as more and more amateur investors get involved every day in the sometimes risky type of currency. Spikes and crashes in popular forms of crypto have become commonplace, but are still significant enough economic events to generate headlines and market moods across the globe. Some loyalists are feeling bullish on the form of currency, arguing that they will become the new gold standard and maybe even sooner than you think. Here this morning to give us an update on what we need to understand about the crypto markets and their future is Futurist and Director of Blockchain City and the soon-to-be-released Bitcoin Dilemma, Ian Khan. Ian, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. So, Ian, you've spent a long time studying these new forms of currency. Why don't you just go ahead and give us sort of a summary position of where you think things stand right now?
So, great question. I really believe we are still in the very early days of cryptocurrency, digital cash, and there's many reasons for that. One of the reasons is that as technology over the last 10 plus years, and that's the time period cryptocurrencies have come into emergence, the last 10 years have been an initial phase of adaptation, understanding cryptocurrencies, and the evolution of cryptocurrencies. What we've seen is the emergence of over 1,500 different currencies, and now they've shrunk down. And so there's a lot of interest from technology circles, financial industry, and many other industries that are part of this world of crypto. More than ever, banks, financial institutions, monetary agencies across the world now are looking at cryptocurrencies as a disruptor because cryptocurrencies in general disrupt traditional money, traditional fiat currency, the dollar, the ruble, the pesos, anything and everything that we've been using for tens of decades and over 100 years.
Right.
Now, as technology is progressing, there's definitely a lot more interest in crypto. We're seeing the emergence of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, and many others. Go ahead, Sophie.
No, please. I mean, I think that that's all very interesting and clearly sort of a correct analysis of what has been going on. I think the question now is sort of now that these types of currency are becoming so commonplace and so popular and so much a part of the everyday financial conversation as opposed to this sort of interesting little startup part of the market. I think the question is, where does this go next? You know, especially as the United States begins to struggle with issues like significant inflation, maybe even stagflation, which aren't really issues that the populace here has struggled with for a number of years. There's some concern over where to keep your money, how to store it, how to use it. I think the crypto markets are certainly seeing an advantage based on those financial circumstances. So what happens next? I mean, do you think, Ian, that sort of the crypto markets are about to really become the most common form of, global trading currency, especially as you mentioned, fiat currencies begin to falter in ways that we haven't seen for a bit?
I think that movement has already started for cryptocurrencies to become a major part of everyday finances and also long-term investment, investment into assets. And cryptocurrencies are now going into different directions. You have the emergence of something called non-fungible tokens or NFTs that are on the rise right now, very early days. But you're seeing the adoption of cryptocurrencies in different countries. For example, some really small countries have started adopting it. El Salvador has adopted cryptocurrency in the last few weeks as a default currency. What we're going to see in the next 3 to 5 years, and that's a time period that I believe is a good time frame because it is going to take regulations time. It is going to take that worldwide adoption a little bit more time. But I see 3 to 5 years a better time frame of a bit more adoption, more acceptance at a retail level. And you're seeing large retailers, large companies, Tesla was in the news because of this as well, that they're starting to adopt cryptocurrency as a form of payment, whether it's Bitcoin or something else. But that maturity of the market isn't there yet, and it's going to take a few years before that maturity is there. And vendors, retailers, companies, enterprises can be confident that, hey, Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency is a stable form of exchange. When it comes to an asset, Cryptocurrencies are considered to be a good asset right now by some circles of investors because of what their performance over the last few years, and we'll see how that goes. But the interest it's beyond just being an interesting thing. There are very serious investor circles who are investing heavily into crypto. Regulation has started coming down, and the fact that countries like China have kind of pushed away crypto. Canada is pushing away crypto a little bit. India is pushing it away a little bit. Means there's definitely a threat that it is pushing the limits of government and monetary systems worldwide.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a couple of interesting points, but let's talk about the difference between different forms of crypto. I mean, you say some, well-to-do investors are feeling good about crypto in general, but what about the differentiation between things like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, like Dogecoin? I mean, I think for amateur investors, what type of advice would you give out when selecting which cryptocurrency to put some stock into?
Great question, Sophie. The fundamentals of cryptocurrency are, as with anything else, with supply and demand. In traditional investing industries, you've got supply of something and you've got the demand for something. With crypto, it's the same thing. Now, Bitcoin is the earliest form of cryptocurrency, and there's different forms of Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and so on. With the traditional main Bitcoin, there is a limited supply of a maximum number of 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be created by the system of vast network of computers. And that is a limited supply. And so investors are buying that currency because there's a very limited supply. There are other cryptocurrencies, for example, Ethereum, Dogecoin, and many others that are coming out there that have different mechanisms that perhaps don't have a limited supply, but it has a different mechanism in terms of how that coin gets created. I've also heard of coins that are that are pegged at the amount of carbon in the atmosphere, and it's connected to and there's many different models to it. Right now, as I said, it's a little bit wild west of cryptocurrency investing, and I err to severe caution when investing into crypto, when looking into cryptocurrency investments. You have to do due diligence rather than just invest in anything that you find is rising or growing in demand. Please do your due diligence.
Sure. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. So very briefly, Ian, we have just about 30 seconds left. You're at the helm of this new film, The Bitcoin Dilemma. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. The Bitcoin Dilemma is a series of interviews with global experts from the financial industry, cryptocurrency industry, people like Bobby Lee, also the ex-economist from the SEC. Really incredible people that I wanted to bring everybody together to tell us exactly what is the future beyond this confusing era where cryptocurrencies, we can't make sense of them. So the Bitcoin Dilemma is coming out soon. Follow the journey at thebitcoindilemmamovie.com.
Okay, well, sounds like information we all need to know. Ian, thank you so much for being here this morning. We so appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Coming up next, we'll be bringing you live our Just the News Minute, where we go over some breaking news headlines populating the site right now. So we'll be back.